Welcome to the Our Team Podcast, powered by eXp Realty. Are you an agent looking to level up? Are you someone looking to buy or sell real estate? Fantastic. This is the show for you.
Welcome to the Our Team Podcast. I'm Brian Auer, and I'm here with a very special team member.
Hi, Brian. Stephanie
Hi.
Winter here.
Stephanie Winter. There's always fireworks and crazy stuff happening when you're on the podcast.
No.
There is, yes.
We keep it calm.
We do keep it calm, but when you get into your rants,
Oh, rants? Yeah.
you can go.
Yeah,
You can go.
that's very true.
You're one of the few people I know that can just go on like these crazy rants where you just are so focused and you just nail it. You don't say or get, tongue twisted or anything. You just go like a machine gun.
Ooh, that was Toastmasters training.
Is it really?
Uh-huh.
Seriously?
Yes. I was a past president, a vice president a couple of times.
Wow.
Got my competent communicator, competent leader for
Very
one of the
cool.
best clubs down in San Diego. And I even competed in a speech contest once.
How'd you do on that one?
Really?
Not too good?
I didn't do too well on the speech contests, but those were really hard. And the people that you would compete with were really experienced.
I've been I did a debate.
Oh.
I was in a debate class. It wasn't a class. It was just a section of English where we did debates. And I did really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Maybe that's it. I grew up in a household where my dad was on the debate club, the debate team.
Mm-hmm.
So that was our, language in our household.
That's
it was
cool.
Debatable.
My daughter, Maxine,
Yeah.
she's in law school right now.
Yeah.
And
Congratulations.
she's really good at arguing.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, not trying to be funny, like when if she wasn't getting her way,
Yeah.
the way she laid out, just very concrete, sequential, but also just kind of, tugged on the heartstrings and all that. She's very good at that. There were times I wanted to say yes and let her win so many times, but I just couldn't because she was, 12.
Yeah.
And so or 15, whatever. So there were times I just would say, you know what? You make a very good argument. I'm very impressed, but I got to pull rank here. It's a no. So she would win the argument almost every time.
Yeah.
But I could pull rank because I was her dad, right? So
That's a solid objection handler right there.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's funny. My nephew, I just came from my sister's house, and he's a 3-year-old expert negotiator. He asks me, do you want a popsicle? Because he wanted a popsicle.
He wants a popsicle,
So he was so genuine. And he goes to the freezer, pulls it out, brings me a popsicle, open it, take it, have it. And then waits and then goes, now I want a popsicle. Turns around and goes and gets himself one.
He already understands the rules of reciprocation.
Oh my gosh. It
right?
is hilarious.
I got you one. Now you perhaps can get me one.
Yes.
That's funny.
Oh gosh.
I love it. So we're still kind of riding high a little bit from from eXp Con.
I feel like I just wheels touched down from eXp Con.
Yeah. I just finished taking, I finalized my notes on my notes.
Okay.
And I was talking to Randy about this too, and another gentleman on our team. Mm-hmm. And he was doing the same thing. He's just like going over his notes. And he was explaining last week when we did a podcast that he was writing down on his notepad or his iPad. Mm-hmm. Just for the event, he went and got, I think it's called Notable or something like that.
I downloaded it too. He told me what it was. Which one was it?
He was firing, just like writing, and
Notability.
Notability.
It was like $14.99 a year.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
because I was sitting next to him and he was using his iPad, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that looks really good. Let me copy how he's using his." And I ended up taking all my notes on there too, which was the first time I've used my iPad for taking all of my notes, and that was one of the biggest takeaways from the event was just the constant utilization of learning how to use the iPad.
It's very cool. I'm wondering if it could read it can read your writing, right?
You have different settings. Yeah. Like I have the pen, and so it does the pen where you can do just handwriting, and then you can do it where it handwrites to text, and then you could do where it converts to text.
Well, I for sure need help with because my penmanship is so bad.
It takes some practice on these things too, because it's like a different texture.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's too slick.
Yes.
So my writing isn't good because I need a little bit of drag.
You might like the Remarkable. The Remarkable is like another product similar to an iPad, but just a notepad, but it has more of a paper texture.
Huh, okay.
And then everything saves directly to a note in your phone, but then it is in your handwriting.
Right. See, and
But I think you can convert it. I'm sure it has that feature.
I'm one of the only people that can read my own writing.
Okay, well, we'll look into this afterwards and see if that's a viable
Okay.
notepad
Cool.
thing. I know my brother-in-law uses it.
So did you want to talk about some things, some cool takeaways from the actual event? I mean, did you want to do that? I thought we would do that.
Let's get into some eXp con notes. So I part of the going over the notes is kind of like being in a book club, right? At the end of the book, you have your list of summary questions to kind of review the experience and maximize everything. So as going through our notes, I just wanted to ask you some questions and then put in my input as well as to my experience. But first things first, Brian.
Yes.
Thank you for the invitation to eXpCon, which was amazing with the team.
Yep.
That was probably one of the best experiences was going with the teammates.
Yeah.
Right? And getting everyone on the same vibe.
Yep.
So what was
every penny? It was worth every penny.
So cool. It was more than I would have expected, just in experience-wise and everything, too.
Yeah.
And so what was your biggest takeaway?
Oh, my gosh. There's a lot. Well, I mean, I have notes that I could go through. But if I just were to say what's the most
standout experience, memory.
I got to meet in person Brent Gove, which to me was really the highlight of.
Where did you get to meet Brent Gove?
Well, I bumped into him tons of times, but he had a huge suite, and so he invited me to come up to his suite. And he said, there's going to be 60 people here. Come on up. It's going to be great. I want you to, hang out with some of these top producers. And I was like, seriously? And I showed Lorianne and said, look at what just happened. He just out of the blue, he's like, hey, Big B, you need to come up and check out, we're going to be here. I know you're here. And so anyway, it was just incredible. It was so inspiring because he's just he's a big deal at eXp. And I think it was a good reminder of why he's a big deal, because he's just such a giver. The guy just gives, and you want to be around people like that. He just brings value. Every time he opens his mouth and says anything, it's just like, oh, that was a good. Wow, I got to take notes on that.
Even his website. His website has so many valuable resources on there. I haven't even gone through them all yet, but there's a couple that now that I think about it, I should write that down.
Go to Brent Gove's site. He's amazing, and especially if you want to really grow in, at the brokerage. He's a phenomenal resource. Also, Jay Kinder has some amazing stuff, and there's a lot of really good resources. I mean,
Our Team podcast.
The Our Team podcast is pretty cool. We got some good stuff here. But we don't always get real EXP-ish on this site. I mean, because we're really nuts and bolts kind of. We sell real estate, right?
And I think that was the other part of it is I didn't really realize I didn't really grasp the entire. Everything that was available at eXp, because I think there's so much available that there's so many emails, there's so much communication that it can be overwhelming sometimes. Right. So I kind of filter some stuff out. And so being there in person for 4 days was like being in eXp world in real life.
That's right.
Right? That's what it felt like, because they had the different breakout rooms and there's 3 different floors and you kind of had to transport yourself to these different rooms at different times and kind of map out the schedule. But you really couldn't. I think one part I learned is that what I would do different next year, and one thing I was noticing on the schedule is that on the first day they have a breakout room session where a bunch of agents get together and pitch their ideas for what they want to train on, and then that's how they kind of schedule the training for the 4 days. Does that sound familiar? Did you see that part?
No, I didn't. That's not because they were already done. They were already in the app weeks before.
That's what I thought, but not everything. A lot of them, but then also some of them.
They have a roadmap, so you could go to one of the first breakout sessions was actually a roadmap to make sure that you're maximizing the convention. And I did that. I went virtually into eXp World, and I just tuned in. I went to one of the classes there.
Yeah.
And it just kind of lined out. If you want to focus on agent attraction, go here, 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 here. If it's all about mindset for you right now, then it was setting it up like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It was on the 4th day that I came across that, and I was trying to make sense of it, but I absorbed so much information at that point that things were getting convoluted.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, I learned a lot too just by being. Once we iconed And because I'm a mentor, certified mentor at eXp, we got kind of backstage access to a couple things, had our own little, VIP room and stuff like that. And so it was kind of fun hanging out with some of those people because everyone was like, very name tag. Oh, hi, Brian. How you doing? Like, oh, hi, Veronica. It's like everyone just name tagged each other.
Yeah.
And, what market are you into? What are your wins? What's working? What's not working? And it was just really good to talk to other agents that are kind of crushing it. And also just being willing to explain how tough this market is right now too. And they're like, hey, we're in it for the long haul. This, we're doing this to augment this and to help us over here. And we've made these changes. We're spending more money here. We're doubling down on this. We're pulling this out. Or just listening to hearing people do the same things that we're having to do, with the team. And so that was a fun part. It was an honor to be there because there was only something like 440 people or something like that were there that were icons.
Oh, wow.
It was a small group.
Because I think they said about 5,000 agents total.
Yeah. There was 5,800 agents there.
Oh, 5,800.
5,800.
So almost 6,000.
Yep.
Wow.
Just under 6,000 people. Oh. That's a lot of people.
Oh, really? I mean, yeah. Did they say it was less than last year?
Last year there was 5,400 people.
Oh, okay. So just slightly more. Right. Because we had a 30% growth.
Yep. The first year I went, this is my third one. The first one that I went to, there was something like, I want to say 9,000 people, something like that. But it's because they couldn't do one of the other events. Forgot how, because of COVID and stuff like that.
Right.
So it was like a double event. I don't remember. I was too new at
the shareholders event is maybe the other one.
Maybe they couldn't do shareholders, so they did eXp con, just a bigger eXp con. I don't remember, but
that was the really cool part, was like meeting other agents and like hearing how they're maximizing different parts of eXp too. Right. Like some agents really focus on the stock program. Yeah. Some are more focused on recruiting. Some are focused on building their business and their team. Yeah. And then also like, I think seeing the agents, the bigger social media agents, and like how they kind of have their teams even of like following them or whatever, their husband, just like recording them the entire time. I don't know, because when you see it on the social media, it's kind of like looks like a huge production, and seeing that it was like really simple on the back end too was kind of cool.
I noticed that. It's funny that you brought that up. There was a lot of people that were walking around talking with somebody with an iPhone that was literally just walking backwards.
Yeah.
Anyone like that, just make sure that.
I know every day on my newsfeed, they're posting a new video. And I'm like, okay, got that. Like map your social media content before you go.
Yeah, definitely. I know Gogo was doing it constantly.
Yes. And
she was filming her on her own, and she had people following her, but one thing that just blew me away is they're all using iPhones. They're just, what we hold in our hand every day to run our business is such an incredible tool.
Through all the apps, it just... Yeah, which brings me to my next question. Mapping out your social media content, remembering to do stuff while you're there. But what would you do differently? What are you going to do differently next year?
Embrace AI much more. This was a big, huge. They talked about AI a lot, and I think. So in your business over the next year? Yes, absolutely.
Okay. You've embraced AI.
I have. But well. I mean, there's. When you think AI, you think, ChatGPT.
Right.
Ooh, it's going to help me write this description of a house. It's so much deeper than that. I have embraced it, but I haven't. I mean, I'm committing to using it more.
So learning how to like maximize and utilize.
Yes, absolutely. And then because that'll free up some time. It also will probably up the quality of the content or the quality of whatever I'm using it for. So I mean, AI is huge. The other big takeaway was how unhealthy I am on the whole, across all of the platforms. I was exposed to Real Grader, and I was like, let me check out what this whole Real Grader thing's all about. And I couldn't believe how, because I feel like I have a great Google My Business.
And you're active too,
I'm active,
and you post, and we've had like different audits, social media audits.
Yep, but everything looks different. There's no real consistency. I didn't even realize that I had, because some of the stuff out there is team. Some of the stuff is Brian Hour. Some of it's Lorianne Hour. Nothing looks the same. It's all a little wonky. So I hired them to help me go through everything and make it all look perfect because that's important. Yeah. So it was a one-time fee. and then I'm paying to be a part of their whole mastermind organization too. Mm-hmm. So I have, I think if you're not learning, you're dying. Mm-hmm. So I like to always have good nuggets that I can bring the team. I want to continue to grow as a leader, and I want to grow as a real estate agent. I want to grow as an agent attractor. All of those things are important to me. And so I like being involved in a lot of different masterminds. Every day of the week I have something. Mm-hmm. It's either a Zoom call or some type of mastermind, or I'm the one holding them. I'm the one hosting them. So there's just this constant education and training and things like that I think are really important for you to grow.
So with that, you signed up with Real Grader, which was one of the vendors at the eXp Con in the Expo arena, which was one of my favorite parts. I feel like I've been to so many conferences and so many conventions, but maybe not that have had such an expo center, or was that what it was called? The Expo Center?
Yeah, it's basically all the vendors have an opportunity.
Exposition room.
To just sort of, say, hey, they were the sponsors, but there was also just an area that you can go to is huge.
There was so much going on in that room. First off, it was huge. Yeah. Second, they had the most amazing coffee station set up. It was so beautiful. Yeah. I should turn it into a reel. It was such a beautiful coffee station.
It was, huh?
And then the vendors were all really cool, really nice. Like, it was just really nice to like have everything, literally just eXp world in real life, and have real people to talk to, and just learning about the different resources, talking to the Success Lending, learning that when we use Success Lending, that promotes our stock program. Yep. That was a pretty cool thing to learn, just as a extracurricular thing that they offer. Yeah. Yep. Knowing that eXp acquired the entire Success brand. I don't think I realized that before, because again, so much happens. It's not just
a magazine, it's a lot.
So much happens at this eXp world that I had no idea. I knew eXp had so much to offer, but I had no idea how much I was not utilizing even a fraction of what it has to offer in terms of like the education and the breakout rooms, and just the other agents in the ecosystem are so at the top of their level. I know another brokerage has, I think, their conference going on right now, and it's cute seeing all the agents, the 25 agents there, but ours was so big. I'm just kidding. Admit that. That's not kind. Or
that's not very nice.
That's not ethically appropriate. So,
wait, well, who is it? What is it?
Real Brokerage is having
their
yeah.
So, where is it?
I think it's in San Diego.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what you would do different in your business next year. What would you do different to prepare for eXp Con next year?
That's a great question. I think I did a really good job preparing for it, though.
Well, absolutely. But if you were going to do something different, if you were going to do something more, like looking back.
Yeah. I mean,
knowing what you know now, what do you want to do differently next year?
Well, it's going to be in Miami. Mm-hmm. So maybe I would like to go fishing one day.
Okay.
There's really good fishing there. I mean, Florida's best fishing, right? I love fishing.
That's what I'm thinking. I want to go like 2 days ahead and like kind of get familiar with like the lay of the land and everything, so I'm not so stimulated when the convention starts.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And you'd kind of want to do that before, because after it's over, it's not like you're not really in the mindset to just go. You want to get back and pound start doing start implementing what you just learned.
Getting your return on investment.
I think I'm glad you asked me that, because it puts me in that forward thinking. I definitely want to do something fun like that, but I want to bring people with me. I want to have enough people curious about eXp that I can get them, some type of an explorer pass and bring people there, because all you have to do is just see the culture one time and you just go, oh yeah, I want to be around this. Yeah. So that's another reason why I'm going to Cabo. I promised myself I'd never go to Cabo, because the last two experiences that were the worst experience. But Brent Gove has has a really cool thing that he does every single year.
Oh.
It's in March, and so I might have been the first one to pay for it. Ooh. I mean, as soon as it became available, I bought tickets. So Lorianne
cool.
and I are going in March for that.
How many days?
It's 5 days.
We'll make sure you
Yeah.
guys open about 4 escrows before you go so you can work the whole time. Just kidding.
Exactly. But I think the events that eXp throws are second to none because the company is so healthy. It has so much money. And it's just, it kind of spoils its agents constantly. I mean, a lot of other brands are really cutting back right now, and we're not.
No.
So there's a lot of money being, a lot of more opportunity, more channels, if you will, are opening up for the agents to be more successful because they have extra money. And Glenn, the founder of this brokerage, he is very giving. And so he just keeps, giving back to the agents. A lot more opportunity. I love that part of it. They spend millions of dollars on big events, and they charge just enough to break even or lose a little. So I like that.
They really put themselves out. They had a really cool opening light show because we were in Vegas. So like that first Tuesday, I was trying to look through some of my notes. I'll find it, what I was looking for. But they really had some really cool, like the opening light show with the dance and the girl and the light and the music and the dancing and the light and the girl and the music. And I was just like, again, like I've been to like a lot of those rah concerts, success symposiums, motivational speakers. And I was like, what? This is like quality entertainment.
It is
cool.
They literally, it was nothing was cheesy. It was all over the top. I felt like I paid to go see a Vegas show.
Yeah, I mean, like the night before we went to go see the MJ1 show.
Yep.
And then the next morning, our convention puts on like an equally amazing performance.
Yeah.
It was just incredible
Yeah.
to have that. And then I was also impressed by the keynote speakers, which were so good. So we had the, was it Brian? No. I'm sorry. I'm not finding I guess I didn't write down this guy's name, but he was the economist.
Oh yeah. That was, no, not Brendan Burchard. Brendan Burchard was amazing. Mike
Valdez? Nope.
Mike, shoot.
trying
I
to
don't
find
have
it.
that open.
I know. I was trying to find that one.
Actually, I do have it here. He was really good. He kind of laid out everything on how.
He was so good with the statistics. He's in my photos.
Yeah, he is.
But I'm not able to get to all my photos right now. Why is it being like
Well, you can go to mikedp.com to get all that
Del
stuff.
Pret. Del Prete.
Mike Del Prete.
Yeah. Where are the pictures that I took of his slides?
He's Inman News, and that was amazing. I have at least 10 pages of notes from him, and he's got a lot of charts too. So I downloaded all the charts and the stuff that he has that he was sharing.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
That I'm not finding.
Yeah.
Okay. Whoops. Scratch that. Okay. But back to
Brendan Burchard. What he was one of the key speakers.
yes.
What were your? Give me a few takeaways from him.
Okay, so one of my biggest takeaways from him was his app that we got, which was super cool. So he gave anyone who was at the convention 1 year app. First off, I've followed Brendan Burchard for like probably since the beginning of my personal development career. Like he's been in for a long time. Like I remember watching an early interview with him with Louise Hay, who's now passed, rest in peace. But like he was EFT like tapping guy before he became, now it was really cool to see him. It was really cool, really exciting. His story was really funny. He was talking about, when he was a boyfriend and he had the messy room and he had a picture of him. And I'm just like, oh God, he looks like such an annoying boyfriend. Yeah. But then he got married to the girl and I was like, good for her. She really stuck it out through because I'm sure he makes a great husband.
Oh yeah. And he's very wealthy now. So I'm sure she's really glad, right?
Yeah. I was like, wow, she really made it out of the annoying boyfriend phase. Good for her. She's the real winner in this situation.
No doubt.
But no, it was really great. Really loved his embrace the struggle, honor the struggle. Yeah. Was a good one.
You talked last week about the whole struggle bus.
Yeah, he's just so positive. I think like in such a negative world, like it was just really enlightening to have someone, and I've listened to some of his podcasts now, someone who's just so like positive and just like lets, water off the back, like doesn't have to embrace the shit, doesn't have to engage in the controversy, doesn't have to be negative, but he always just has this like, upbeat, let's fix it attitude. Yeah. And it was really refreshing.
Did you he gave, I think, 5 or 6 points. Did you take notes on what those were?
I did.
Go over them. You don't have to get too deep in all of them, but I mean, I have mine. I want to see if they line up with yours, because I was hanging on every word that he was. I mean, he's a dynamic speaker, so he's got an incredible command of the English language, right? So
yes.
I mean, from the big words that he uses all the way down to just like the funny slang stuff that he knows everyone's going to relate to. He could be a stand-up comedian, the way he tells stories and how animated he is.
He was very funny.
Yeah, he's really good.
So he has raise your ambition as number 1. Mm-hmm. The world is trying to take this. First thing, you cannot let your vision for the future be blocked by the past. You got to live in the right time zone. And number 2, because I think I highlighted these, find something to fight for.
Yes.
In his first event, he took a picture of him in at his first event, and on the back there was a sign on the wall that said room occupancy 35. So when you consider his first event had a room occupancy of 35, and then the current event where I'm taking that note has a room occupancy of 5,000.
And that's small, because he does events where there's literally 20,000.
And then one of his podcasts says that his speakers on his team get paid $50,000 for a speaking gig. So his price was probably twice that and worth it.
So what I wrote down for find something to fight for, it was maybe it's finances. So he gave examples of, he took pictures of his girlfriend laying on top of all the bills, and that just really touched him, right? He's like, I don't want it to be that. I don't want it to be my inaction that causes excessive debt in our family, right? So that really, really, gave him something to fight for. The other thing was people. And so I think when I wrote this down, I actually got choked up when I was writing this down, also because he's such a good speaker. Mm-hmm. He said, ask yourself, who needs me on my A game today, right? Mm-hmm. And then ask yourself, why is it necessary to show up and serve with excellence today? I'm like, that's cool stuff.
You took good notes on that one.
Yeah, I take pretty good notes. The third one, Randy touched on. This one really hit Randy hard. It was about getting your mind back.
Number 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about from the Facebook and the TikTok and all that stuff. Because if you think about it, the way he was describing it made so much sense. Every time you scroll, you're judging. Mm-hmm. Right?
Judgment coding, comparison coding.
Yep. Judging, comparing, all of that. Or comparing.
Mm-hmm.
Comparing isn't really a word.
Make it a word.
It's a word now. So, it's not healthy for your mind. You're just judging, comparing, just getting stuck. And he breaks down how, it's bad for your mental health. It's horrible. But the worst thing about it is it can steal 3 months worth of productivity from your life every year. Mm-hmm. If you spend 1 hour a day on getting lost and squirreled on social media, then it's equivalent to the amount of hours that you would the average 8-hour workday. 3 months worth of those.
I believe it.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah, it's a lot of time spent.
Mm-hmm. But there is a caveat that is, the disclaimer is, if you are on social media with a purpose, like you're using it for, doing marketing, or you're, prospecting or something like that, right? You're trying to engage because people are engaging with your business and stuff like that. That's different. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the hours that you get, where you're just scrolling and scrolling. So that was the third thing. What else did you get?
Let's see. Well, that number 4, right?
That was 3.
That was 3. So then 4 was honor the struggle.
Like Brant Gove likes to call it the struggle bus.
The struggle bus.
The struggle bus is real. I mean, seriously.
He says, when life is difficult, how do I show up? Leaders, breathe, meditate, fuel my body. Self-improvement is a way of life, not a healing once in a while. It's a way of life because life is hard.
Yeah, because the struggle bus is, some people just kind of get off and on the struggle bus daily, right? They struggle through something, and then they figure it out, and then they're off the bus. So then a couple days later, they're struggling with something else. They're back on that bus. But it's how you handle yourself while you're on the bus. I mean, are you calm, cool, collected? Are you ready to get off the bus? Are you ready to? one thing that he said about being in that place of struggle is that oftentimes, and will coach people individually, he said that the ones that have a high performers playbook, because he kept going back to high performers. Well, here's what high performers do. So he's going through all these things. He kept bringing it back to what a high performer does. And they get off the struggle bus by going back to the fundamentals. In almost every case, you figure out, you kind of squirrel a little, you get off and into a tangent, but the reality is, if you just go back to the fundamentals, you usually can get right off that bus. So in our line of business, that's going to be, tapping back into your past clients, your sphere of influence, doing open houses, right? We're talking about the basic things. Your geographic farm, all of that stuff. It's like the main pillars of a realtor's business.
I just got to that part of my notes. Back to basics.
Back to basics.
Build meaningful relationships. I was talking to a friend today, and she's like, "Do you think it's still worth it to cold call around your listings?" I'm like, I think absolutely. I was like, it's the season of having more face-to-face conversations. And I was listening to a podcast. They were saying survive until 25.
Yeah.
Just because there's not going to be enough business.
Yep.
Not enough, but there's not going to be as much. You're going to have to find it. You're going to have more conversations to find more business, to find where it is. It's out there. You just got to find it.
And, if you're in this business right now and you're struggling, I'm willing to bet it's because you're not doing the things that are
the basics.
Right? So you have to do like he was saying, you got to jump all in.
Well, the market shifted from being a responsive market to now from being a grab a net market to now you got to go out and hunt,
right,
and be prepared market. You got to be prepared to go on a hunting trip for a few days kind of market.
There's a big difference between hunting and gathering.
Yeah.
Right? We were in a gatherer's market for quite a while.
Not even gathering. It was like a fishing net.
You could take a picture of your shoe, post it in the MLS, and the house would sell.
It was,
right?
Yeah.
So things are a little bit different now. But there's still a lot of business going on, and I think the ones that are going to have the lion's share of that business are the ones that are doing the basic stuff. Of course you should make your phone calls. Of course you should cold call. Of course you should door knock, because nobody's door knocking.
Speaking of basics, at eXpCon, eXp also launched their new marketing center, which makes marketing for agents so much easier, so much just tangible at your fingertips marketing. New buyer's guides, seller's guides. So eXp is leading the market in growth. And they're attracting even small brokers, because small brokers, as we're going into a downturn, they can't offer stock options or health insurance. I mean, I think in the state of California, we don't offer health insurance, but in other states, they're able to offer that. So there's a real advantage to even small brokers being able to insulate and take care of their agents better by coming under the umbrella of eXp and having that support.
You can grow faster. You can grow stronger than if you were to be a small broker and have, say, 50 agents that are, basically in your brokerage.
Well, and then your agents are going to start looking around to see who's going to be able to provide for them potentially long term. And if their friend is going to eXp, because that's where a lot of agents are going now, then it would make a lot of sense to just beat them to the punch and bring your brokerage over to eXp.
It doesn't make it. I know it sounds kind of preachy, but when you really look at it and you spend time, you can't unsee the model. So it's pretty hard to imagine wanting to get your broker's license and just bring on a bunch of agents and then deal with retention and all that stuff and insurance and and all the, right, and the exposure to lawsuits and all that stuff, when you can do that exact same thing.
And there's a cap
at our brokerage, and you can grow it as big as you want, and it just becomes like automatic income. It's incredible. So, well, that's nice. I'm glad to see that we both took a very similar notes. I think I wanted to say one thing about the jump all in. That was the fifth point that he made.
Yeah.
He said to win, you have to jump all in, of course. He said something that was like, it was kind of alarming, but it made everyone kind of, you're like, oh, kind of. He said, if you don't ever just poke at a bear, right? If you want to get rid of the bear or whatever animal, you got to jump all in and stab it in the throat. You got to stab it in the neck. You can't just poke it and hope that things are going to work out. You've got to attack it, right? And maybe that's your fears or whatever, but just whatever project you're working on, it's going back to basics, and it's not just poking at it. It's going all in, because if you go all in, and you are really committed to going all in, you don't have to go all in forever. Mm-hmm. In most cases, depending on what you're doing, if people are willing to go 100% all in for like 5 years, then they can really kind of coast a little bit for the rest of their life, because you can build something huge in 5 years. And then it's just like maintenance, and it's easier, and it's like that it depends on what you're doing, of course. Mm-hmm. There's certain things you have to work on constantly. There's never any coasting, like a relationship, right? A marriage. There's no coasting in that kind of thing. You have to constantly be giving 100% and working on it, because that's what makes a great marriage. But I'm talking about strictly in business, especially when you have something where you can build, revenue streams. Mm-hmm. If you work at it really hard for 5 years and build it, then it just kind of goes on its own, takes care of itself. And so that's the message I've been trying to get out to the team, is that you can build something really big here. Really big. It's
definitely, there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot to maximize. I just want to leave with a couple other thoughts that I really enjoyed about the panel, or the eXp Con. One was the Welcome Vegas panel, where they did a panel of all the local agents to kind of get you familiar with the local market and what's going on there, which was really exciting for the first day. I thought that was pretty cool. And then before we went, we were on a webinar or a Zoom, and one of the comments from one of the agents, one of those like Zooms where there's hundreds of agents on there, and we were all talking about going to the eXp Con. And some agent commented, more than a half of a day is diminished return. More than a half a day of learning is diminished return. And so that was kind of ringing in my ears while I was there, just kind of in the back of my head thinking about that. And I understand how that's valid statement on some cases, but there was so much to be gained, like filling a gas tank, and with all of the notes that we were able to take, and all of the networking, and all of the new connections, and all of the 5,000 agents across the world who are some of the best entrepreneurs and high performers who are making the trek to go out to Vegas, to go to this conference, to learn as much as they can, to be with the best of the best. And it's just so inspiring. And you can kind of forget, especially, still even after 2020, it's only 3 years after everyone's life got flipped upside down, and it's still really nice to be reminded of like normalcy and normal people, and not everything is doom and gloom, and not everything is awful. And there are still a huge lot of people out there who want to do better, who can pick themselves up by their bootstraps, who carry on, who stay positive, who know that going through life is mucky and murky, and yet when we pull together and we have these masterminds and these communications and we have these networkings, it's just the rising tide lifts all ships. And it's not always about your return on investment monetarily. It was just so much energetic, and just an energetic refuel. Like I'm more full than I knew I could be coming back.
Positivity, the whole time it was positivity.
Yes, it was just the positive outcome of like, yes, it's hard, and yet we persevere. And the other thing that was so huge to me, the biggest takeaway, was the Humanitarian of the Year award. That was that's just such a cool award. Yeah. I know in real estate, a big part of it is being a community leader. Yeah. And seeing someone. And maybe just because, Jong Pugh got up there and he was a Swiftie, and, we had some things in common. But he was just so inspiring. And it was just so cool that, like, you can have so many people speaking on stage, and the biggest takeaway at the end of the weekend is the most inspirational person ends up being the person who got Humanitarian of the Year for me personally. And that wasn't even what I went there for. Right. Right. Like, I went there for real estate. And yes, he's a great real estate agent. And because he's a great real estate agent, he's also, I don't know, it was just really cool.
It surprised me what a talented speaker he was.
Yes.
You know, his
Yeah.
storytelling, and because I mean he told his story, but he's one of thousands of agents at eXp that are just incredible givers.
Really good people.
Yes,
Really good people.
because there's a lot of wealth in this company.
And I think also
And
just
they
like
give.
being in Southern California, there's so much like competition between agents and then social media and looking good. And again, going back to Brendan Burchard and the comparison and the judgment, and just it's really refreshing to see people from, I don't know, other parts of the country doing the same thing, like doing it with, I don't know, without all of the competitiveness of the facade. Yeah. I feel like we get a lot, I don't know, there's a lot of like social media agents too, and it gets just really competitive sometimes, like the looking good and the doing good.
Yeah.
So it's nice, refreshing seeing, I guess, agents that come from areas that maybe aren't as shallow or
Yeah, that's a good way to word it.
image focused. And so, and just focusing on the business and like, okay, yes, it is just about the business sometimes. It's not always about, you can look ugly and still be really good at business sometimes.
I consider myself pretty good at this business, and
Cut that out. That sounded
I
really.
look ugly on a regular basis.
Like there's so much pressure to look good all the time
I
that I'm not saying that right. I'm not saying it right.
I know what you mean, and people listening right now they get what you're saying. And we can be pretty shallow and fake.
Southern California is
there's
a
a lot
very
of-
competitive aesthetic.
Yeah, it can be very
and
shallow.
so it's very
fake.
refreshing,
Yeah.
like just going somewhere where, like, oh, you just focus on real estate? That's cool.
Yeah.
You're not worried about like your aesthetic on social media? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Well, we went a little long, but I think it's worth it. I mean, we're both really excited about everything that we've
I guess what I'm
learned.
saying is it was very refreshing to see that some of the top performers from eXp are very good business people, and they're not all social media gurus.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Well,
like
that's-
they've built their business through tried and true ways. They're not all, you know, I think the top producing guy had like 300 followers on his Instagram.
Right.
You know, so it's not about having 12,000 followers. It's not always about reels. It's about relationships and belly to belly and having more conversations with people about what really matters in their life.
Yeah.
That was it. Thank you.
That sounded better too.
Thanks. Yeah.
Good job. Good job on that. Well, guys, listen, we're gonna wrap it up. If you made it this far, congratulations. That was a long podcast. I want to just thank you for being there. If you have any questions about eXp, or you have any questions about real estate or your business, or maybe you just want to level up, right? Reach out to me. Reach out to Stephanie. Actually, reach out to her. She's funner to talk to.
You're more fun.
Yeah,
You're fun too.
exactly.
We're fun.
I can be fun. All right, that's it. Thanks.
Hey,
We'll
wait,
catch
before you
on-
go, would you do us a favor? If you found any value in this content, would you please like and subscribe to it? Maybe even leave a comment? It really helps us out.